Welcome to Presentation, Ponder, Practice. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 18 through 24 contrast two mountains in two lengthy Greek sentences. Once more, teaching on sacrifice, the covenant, and drawing near to God is presented. Starting with Hebrews chapter 12, verses 18 through 21. For you have not come to a mountain that can be touched, and to a blazing fire, and to darkness and gloom and whirlwind, and to the blast of a trumpet, and the sound of words, which sound was such that those who heard begged that no further word be spoken to them, for they could not bear the command. If even a beast touches the mountain, it will be stoned. And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I am full of fear and trembling. The mountain described in these verses is Mount Sinai. The Israelites were instructed to come near to the mountain, but were forbidden to set foot on it. Notice the sensory experiences: touching, seeing, and hearing. Exodus chapter 19, verse 16 and following, Deuteronomy 4:11, and Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 22 tell about the fire, darkness, gloom, and strong wind at Mount Sinai. The readers of the letter to the Hebrews have not come to such a mountain. The trumpet and the sound of the voice in verse 19 are reminiscent of Exodus chapters 19 and 20, where they are signs of God's activity, much like the storm in Hebrews 12 and verse 18. When the voice of God was heard by the Israelites, they begged that no further word be spoken to them by God. For they could not bear the command. The command? If even a beast touches the mountain, it will be stoned. The quote comes from Exodus chapter 19, verses 12 and 13. The people could not bear the command to come near, but not touch the mountain, for the person or animal that did would be killed. And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I am full of fear and trembling. What the people saw at Mount Sinai was so terrifying it frightened them. The author of Hebrews gives the reaction of Moses, then adds, and trembling, to increase the impact. The writer then tells the readers, but in strong contrast, you are not like the people of Israel who came near to Mount Sinai. You have come to Mount Zion. 8 descriptive phrases are given in the passage that follows, each one beginning with the word and after the first one is listed. Zion and later Jerusalem are understood in a symbolic sense. Zion, the first item on the list, is contrasted with Sinai, both being mountains. The second item is the city of the living God. It's probably referring to the God who lives, in contrast with death in verse 20. The city of the living God and the heavenly Jerusalem are the same place. The third item on the list is myriads, or 10,000 of angels, which are in the city. The fourth item in the list, or on the list, is the festal gathering or assembly, and church or assembly of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven. The readers themselves have become part of the assembly, where everyone is a firstborn son. Consider Exodus chapter 4, verse 22 for help with understanding. Their names are enrolled in heaven, meaning they are destined to occupy heaven. The fifth item on the list is God, the judge of all, who impartially evaluates what people have done during their lives. The sixth item on the list, the spirits of the righteous made perfect. These spirits include Old Testament believers, among whom several are named in Hebrews chapter 11, and New Testament Christians that have already died. The original readers had come to be a part of this group who have been made perfect or complete, having finished their race. The seventh item on the list is Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant. Refer to Hebrews chapter 8, verse 8 and verse 13. Also, chapter 9 and verse 15, where the author has already dealt with this concept. Jesus is the link between God and man in the new covenant. The eighth and final item on the list is the sprinkled blood, which speaks better than the blood of Abel. Sprinkled blood is for making holy or purifying. Hebrews chapter 9 verses 13 and 14 explains. The blood of Jesus makes holy or purifies. It is the blood of Jesus which speaks better than that of Abel. Abel's blood, Genesis chapter 4 and verse 10, cries for vengeance. The blood of Christ speaks of salvation. Mount Sinai and Mount Zion are contrasted in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 18 through 24. Moses was the one to deliver God's message, the law of God, at Sinai. Jesus is the one to deliver the grace of God in heaven at the symbolic Jerusalem on the symbolic Mount Zion. We have a better covenant, a better connection to God, a better situation in approaching God than the Israelites in the Old Testament. Take advantage of these wonderful privileges, and may God bless you in coming to Mount Zion.